Hi, it's Cassidy. Welcome. Welcome to today's Facebook Live for Ask Dr. Callahan. We're doing this on the iPad today, so we'll see if the connection holds. But it's beautiful here. We're here where we are in Alabama. That's where Ask Dr. Callahan is based. The weather is beautiful, you guys. The temperature is great. There's lots of sunshine, and I thought for today's Facebook Live, where we are talking about ways to learn outside the textbook, what better way to show this to you guys than to be outside? I know, right? It's perfect. I wanted to talk to you about some ways to get outside the textbook and learn without having to do extensive research. You know, it's great to do research projects and to investigate where your math is, but sometimes you just want to learn in an innovative way or with chalk. Everyone loves chalk, and I didn't know that would show up backwards for you guys on the video, so hopefully you can read that, but it says everyone loves chalk, and I point that out because when we're doing elementary school learning, it's easy to pull up Pinterest and think about, you know, Play-Doh and Sidewalk Chalk and markers and colors and crafts and the Legos and all of that, and people navigate towards that in elementary school. But when they get into high school, it's so focused on getting into college that we sometimes forget that you can actually learn in a tactile way, even in high school. And I wanted to show you a couple of ways you could do that. Without being kiddie. You know, we don't want to be childish for our high school students because they'll very quickly tell us how ridiculous that is. So it's not that, but it's about getting away from their expectations. And one of the biggest expectations is that you have to learn writing in pencil on lined paper. You know, that's what people think math homework is. And when you're changing that up, you give their brain an opportunity to rethink from a different perspective about what they're doing. And one great way is with Sidewalk Chalk. And I say this completely professionally because one of the ways, this is pink, that I used to teach students how to do graphing was actually outside in the driveway. And the reason I did this is because sometimes when students are doing their homework, in a textbook especially, and they're working through their homework problems, they just get very in a rut and they get stuck on, I don't like this, I can't do this, I'm frustrated. And when you get them outside and you say, here, work the problem with a piece of Sidewalk Chalk. Here you go. Write the same problem, but let's work it on concrete with a giant piece of chalk. It causes their brain to let go of some of the stress because you're taking them out of the stressful environment of sitting at the table with the pencil and the paper, and you're putting them outside where it's happy, there are birds, and we can feel the sunshine, and we're doing something totally different. So it asks their brain to reset, to start over. And two, for kinesthetic learners, this is great. You don't have to learn how to do any heavy engineering, but you're just asking them to do something with their hands. For students that like art, that's also a very good way to do it. So don't forget about Sidewalk Chalk. One other option I wanted to tell you was Legos. I think this is my son's, and he built it, and I broke one of the Lego arms of his helicopter off. There we go. Okay. But there, now it works. I'm not a big Lego person, but a lot of my students are. And you can buy Lego kits that are actually robots. And you put them together, and then you can plug them into what's called a Raspberry Pi. And that's I'm not very techie, so let me do this a little slowly. But basically, it's a machine that helps your computer talk to your Lego robot. And you can write a basic code that's totally at the level a high schooler could do, and they can teach the robot to move, right? And I know a lot of students think that's awesome because they get in there and they're learning to code and they're making this robot move, and that's neat. But here's the thing. It counts as math class because a lot of science-based activities, especially engineering and robots and coding, depend on mathematics to function. So the trick there to connecting those two subjects is to ask your students to find the math in the science activity that they're doing, which brings me to the other thing I wanted to show you. Chemistry kits and science kits. If you look at the back, these are things that you can do at home, and you can buy these things at the hobby store, or even places like Target and Walmart have these, and they come with all the supplies you need to do like baking soda volcanoes and things like that, where it's home-based ingredients that do really awesome explosions of, you know, volcanoes, or build a robot, or phase changes where you get to melt things and all of that. Especially melting, that is the application of something called Fourier's law, and it's a huge trig equation. But we just don't normally talk about that part in physics. In physics, they'll teach you Fourier's law, but they don't necessarily tell you that it's trigonometry. And so what your students would do to count an activity like chemistry or science as a math credit would be, you would ask the student to go and look through the math and find where it matches up with what they're doing in math class. And then when you can apply the math language to the science activity, then the fun stuff like the robots and the explosions that you get excited about doing in science class also counts for math class. And we like to call them math labs because it's just the chance to get outside and do something fun. Now, before I go, I wanted to tell you two more things. I'm going to grab my little guy here. For all of you out there that are quote-unquote not mathy people, I wanted to show you this guy. He's an artist model. When you want to draw a person, you can move him into the right position. We'll make him, what is this, like my contorted cheerleader position? I'm not sure what this is. He's dancing. Woo. So this is geometry. Spatial reasoning, ratios, the size of the head versus the size of the hand, that's a ratio. And you talk about someone drawing a person and it's disproportionate. You've heard that. That's because drawing is based on math. And the head has to be in proportion to the hand. There's a math fraction that describes the size of this related to the size of that looks typical, that looks like a person is supposed to look. And so when you draw someone, you're doing math. And so that's another place that you can pull out the math language of what you're doing and get outside in the beautiful world. Ooh, and just because you guys are fun and you'll like this, this is my banana plant. We bought a banana plant. My son eats about a mountain of bananas, so this was almost a necessity at our house, but this is also another example of math. How much water you would need and how fast it grows, how many bananas it produces, all of that is also math, and they are graphable. Graphable? I'm not sure that's a word. You can graph them, and it's algebra equations. The rate at which it grows, that's the direct variation that you'll learn in Algebra 1. So, there you go. Go out there, get outside in this beautiful weather. I hope it's beautiful where you are, and learn math in fun and exciting ways. And I will see you guys next Thursday on the Ask Dr. Callahan Facebook Live. Bye, everybody.